No, you have to do it a certain way because it's not very the way it's designed is pretty hard. That's what we broke last time.
Express me, she's
That's what we did last time.
These guys will be here shortly.
traffic is good.
One said they'll be here about 6:30ish, maybe a little sooner, and the other one should be here a lot sooner.
Is any one of these saying hello to any of you?
No.
Not even acknowledged, like
No.
eye contact.
Oh yeah, eye contact, yeah.
But I would just
But why would they say hi?
can't remember what those.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
He's just chewing gum now. He's just chewing gum. Chewing gum. Somebody be chewing gum to come say hey.
I don't expect anything more.
I was thinking, how am I gonna jockey?
No. I need to see.
Well, good evening. My name is Roberto Filice. I'm the Chief of Police. Welcome to our AB 481 public meeting to discuss our military equipment. As you know, AB 481, it's Assembly Bill 481, was passed to ascertain everything that's used within law enforcement fields, the requirements for safety. And that's what we're here to present to you, what the Salinas Police Department has under AB 481. Thank you. So in April 26, 2022, we entered a new ordinance into the chapter of the Salinas Police Department, Salinas Municipal Code to add Assembly 481. And that was presented to Council in August 2022 and was passed and adopted. And tonight is our first annual report as required by AB 481. Tonight is also the community meeting as required by AB 481 to discuss or to answer any questions about military equipment. And this will go to Council on August 22nd, 2023 as required by the Assembly Bill. And also we plan on presenting the next annual report of the usage up to 2023 in the first quarter of 2024. So what does AB 481 encompasses? Encompasses several categories, of which we do have some equipment, and some of the equipment does fall into these categories. There are 15 categories. We don't have equipment of each and every category. Category 1 is our unmanned aerial system, also known as drones. And as you can see, in 2022, we used drones 164 times. And what do we use it for? Well, it's to support law enforcement, to provide safety and intelligence for law enforcement as we combine or as we carry out our operations. Some of the usage of it during the deployment is to try to ascertain the location of fleeing suspect, collection of evidence in the form of videos. Also, we use it for major traffic collisions. They create, obviously, collision scenes. We also have used it for mutual aid. Fire department have contacted us during major fires, and we were able to provide equipment so that they can safely operate. In category 1, we also have the unmanned remotely powered ground vehicles. And those are, we have 2 of those. We have deployed it twice in 2022. And these are, again, everything that we have, you will see the common theme is safety. and it is to provide safety and also to provide information for the incident commanders or the officers addressing a certain scene. We use it to try to locate barricaded subjects so that we don't have to send an officer into a dangerous location. We also use it for delivering hostage phones or two-way communication phones. We also use it to try to open doors and use it to clear buildings, so that whenever we can avoid using an officer and putting his or her life in jeopardy, we will try to do so. The next that we have is a category 2, is our MRAP. Many of you have seen it. We have used it 37 times in 2022, and we use it obviously to transport personnel to unsafe location. We also use it to provide safety and to extract citizens from volatile incidents. Whenever it's needed, we're going to be out there. Some of the issues that we have encountered as officers taking rounds, we need exactly this type of vehicles to protect us from our officers getting killed. We use it to support a SWAT team, our violence suppression task force, and even patrol, depending on the situations. Mostly we use it for pre-planned operations, i.e. search warrants or arrest warrants that require high level of safety. We also use it as a greater protection, but not only that, we also use it for natural disasters and to provide help for the citizens and the residents out there in Salinas and wherever we're called for. We also use it for community events, and it's one of the most sought out vehicles when we do community events. Kids love playing on the vehicle, and I tell you, when I was a kid and I had access to something like that, it would have been fun, just because it's a cool thing to have, and kids love it. It brings us close to being engaged with our community. The next that we have is command mobile. So our command vehicles, it's an incident command vehicles. We used it 5 times in 2022. It is used exactly what it's called for. It's a command vehicle. You can run a critical incident out of that vehicle without having to recreate what you already have available to you. It's fully contained in equipment with communication equipment. Therefore, the incident commander or incident commanders can be closer to a scene and be able to provide troops on the ground with directives. We also have an ICAC vehicle that was used twice in 2022, and the ICAC vehicles, which ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children, is used as part of a countywide task force where we can go to a scene in which we suspect the pedophiles utilize computer equipment to access kids on the internet, and so that they would become the next victims. That's what we're trying to avoid, and that's what we use this vehicle for. The next we have breaching rounds. These are breaching rounds, as just the word itself would tell you. They're rounds that are designed for us when we encounter doors, they're closed, locked, and we can have access. The old movies are using the ram to get the door in. Those are in the movies. We still use the rams, but if we can, we would like to use something like this. In 2022, we have never deployed them, and we haven't used them. And we use them in high-risk incidents, and obviously they're designed so that upon impact, they dissolve into powder and don't hurt anybody. We also have the weapons that actually shoot these type of rounds. In 2022, we did not deploy them, but we do have it exactly for the same situation. Those are the rounds that we use. These are the weapons that we use to deploy those rounds. We also have specialized firearms and ammunition used by our SWAT team and used by highly trained officers. We haven't deployed it in 2022. However, you see that there is an annual cost to it because we upgraded the safety systems on all of them just to be even more safe. It is used in those situations in which there is a high potential risk to officers or community members, and in where your sidearms is now it's not the best equipment to use in that particular situation. We use it in active shooter situations, obviously well-armed individuals, and other high volatile situations in which it requires a high level of accuracy. We also have explosive projectiles launchers. As you can see, we have not deployed it in 2022. They're used, we actually morphed it into use them with less lethal type of force. That's because the Salinas Police Department does not own any explosive projectile. Therefore, we don't use this particular launcher for those projectiles, but we use them for 40 millimeters, which they fall under category 14, which is one of the 15 categories I mentioned to you. Next, we have distraction devices or flashbangs. That's what's used by our violence suppression task force, a SWAT team, to reduce the potential of injury during a critical incident. They are devices that obviously they're designed for distraction. We deployed 10 times in 2022, and we use it in barricaded subject, in hostage situation, high risk warrants that we're serving, and those are some examples of the usage in which they're utilized. All of that is the direction of the incident commander or the task force commander as they are utilized. We also have chemical agents and a smoke canister. We did not use them in 2022. We did not deploy them in 2022. And they are commonly referred to as tear gas. And again, if you can see it, just as anything else, it's all used in high volatile situation in which there is a high risk, high possibility for officer and or citizens to be injured. So we use tear gas after we have given the suspect and or suspects many chances to surrender, and then we need to resort to the next level of force, which in this case could be a tear gas. We also have 40 millimeters projectiles launchers. We have deployed it 9 times in 2022. These are what we consider less lethal weapons. So as you know, our officers are well trained in de-escalation techniques, and whenever those de-escalation techniques don't work, or the suspect is escalating the situation, before we resort to lethal force, which we try to avoid at all times, we also try less lethal. Those are 40 millimeters projectiles, and we have utilized these several times successfully to de-escalate situations and take a suspect in custody without any injuries to anybody. In the next city council meeting, we're going to provide a council meeting with a request to purchase some additional, actually not additional, but it's a replacement for AB 481 equipment. We're going to request some drones. We're going to request some flashbangs and chemical agents, and one additional 40 millimeter launchers. All of these requests comes as a result of an incident, or actually say all of it. Majority of it comes as a result of an incident that we had a few months ago, in which several of our pieces of equipment were destroyed by the suspect, and now we have to replace them to continue our mission and keeping our community safe. And that's going to go to council as a request. These are the requests with the quotes. So we're going to be requesting the first 3 that you see are drones, the first 3 items. Obviously, flashbangs explains by itself, and 40 millimeter launchers. All of this is coming out of our budget of the police department. We're now asking city council for any additional appropriation for funding. We're just going to fund it within our budget. Correct?
That's insurance for the drones.
And correct. And the drones is actually money that we have received from insurance companies from the one that got damaged in the barricaded subject. We always welcome the feedback of the public. So any feedback you want to provide, we'll take it into account. And then we'll be moving to a presentation on August 22nd at City Council, just per Assembly Bill 481. This concludes my presentation. I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions. If I cannot answer your questions, then I'll get back to you. We'll take notes and get back to you on it. Anybody has any question that I can answer for you? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I was looking at your report of complaints. Can you go back to the MRAP?
Sure. Okay,
It says no complaints.
correct. We have received no complaints about the usage of our camera.
I complained in writing last year and in person at the time of the annual night out. I was present and had materials about peace, and I thought that at a community event, for the face of community policing, that having a vehicle was not appropriate, and I made a written complaint, and I told the city council, and left no message to that complaint.
Okay,
I do not think it is a good sign that there are 0 complaints every single time. You see, as a nurse, we know there's sometimes symptoms, and the symptoms tell us that we're able to measure them. I mean, if you always get 0, how do you, doesn't that make you, isn't it odd that nobody has ever complained?
I don't think it's odd at all, but I will have to follow up. I don't know who you made a complaint to. It didn't get it to my desk.
Well,
So-
you see, I've had this
That happens a
problem
lot.
with your office a lot. People say, oh, it's not that person. If I ask for a copy of a report on the day that it's due, I'm told no one knows where it is, and that person's in a meeting. It's not easily, do you see the same thing with complaints?
Yep.
Where do you know, if I make a complaint and I make it to the relevant parties, and I can produce witnesses that I complained to many people about the presence for children to play on, I don't think that's a good thing for a peaceful community,
Okay.
for community policing. I love what you say in the CAST report, where you say that we want a community where people feel safe.
Okay?
And I don't think weaponry makes them feel safe.
And I truly respect your opinion.
But where
And
have,
just as many people that tell us that they don't want to see that in a community event, we have just as many that they ask us for.
I would very much like to take a poll and ask people.
You're more than welcome to do it, man.
I would be delighted, but my question is, you think it's a good thing that no one ever complains? You really think that's a good thing? You don't think that that may mean that it's hard to complain or intimidating to complain? Or that when you walk into your office, the people there say that person's in a meeting and no one knows how you should file a complaint? For example, if I were to make a complaint, I was told today that I was looking on the wrong website for information. How am I supposed to know? I'm an college educated woman. I'm a middle class woman. If I can't find the right website, I really question whether a homeless person or a person who doesn't speak English or a person who's intimidated would be able to make a complaint. So I put it to you that you're 0, 0, 0, 0 complaints, and I'm very offended when you say that I didn't make my complaint in the right way. Because
I didn't say
tell
that.
you
I just say your complaint didn't get to me,
I
so
didn't get to you.
that's why I have to put 0.
But
If
it
I don't
doesn't-
have a complaint, I'm not gonna put something else up there. So
But-
I only go based on complaints that we receive. That's what the AB 481 asked us to do,
So if
so.
Lino Sanchez decides not to pass off a.
Did you have a question about AB 481,
Oh,
sir?
no, this is a question about complaint process.
This is not my complaint process, sir. Did you have a question about AB
Well,
481?
yeah, I do have a comment about the AB 481. My personal opinion is that getting really excited about using a $300,000 vehicle to attract children seems a little creepy to me.
Not sure what your question.
If I had a $300,000 vehicle the thing that I thought was the
Which
greatest
one are you
thing about
referring
it.
to, just so I
Well,
understand?
it just seems like grooming. You're trying to get a hold of children.
I want to be able to give you an answer, but I don't understand your question, so I'm asking again. if you can, explain the
What
question.
what is the interest to the public in getting a piece of playground equipment that you can drive out to the rodeo and have kids crawl all over it?
Piece of playground.
You're talking
This is
about your
equipment.
routes for
Yes,
community
if
events.
you're referring to us taking that to community events,
Yes.
that's the majority of the requests that we get. We actually have a ton of requests.
That's not the
for
question I
kids
asked,
to
sir.
have-
That's not the question I asked, sir. I said, what benefit does that provide to the public safety of the city? of
Transparency, it shows, we let the public know what we have. So we don't hide it, it's like, there it is. You can see the inside and the outside of it. And that's what the whole point of it is. And also to engage in a conversation with our community in which that piece of equipment always generates a lot of conversation, which is great. It allows us to engage our community and share with them what we have that they also are part of. Because this police department, as I said, from day one is becoming a chief. It's not my police department, it's the community's police
Not
department.
creepy, it's not creepy.
Chief,
Okay, I respect that.
could I also add just to the AMRAP? So the majority of community events that we have, whether they're schools, or the National Night Out, rodeo stuff, we get a phone call requesting, say, the AMRAP. And I would say out of all the equipment that we have, that's probably the most popular. We get teachers, we get principals from schools that ask us to bring this stuff. Because the kids love it. It's just another toy that they've never seen. I don't think it's creepy
Could I
at
get
all.
it out for a
We are
birthday
not.
party or
Well,
something like that?
Let me continue here.
Okay, sure.
Kids love big things, you know? Have you heard of Touch a Truck? We just had one recently at Compass Church. Our AMRAP was there. Kids love that. We're having another one, the 27th, which is gonna be at the rodeo grounds, same thing. It's gonna be well attended by kids. It's not just our vehicle that's gonna be there. Yes, it's a piece of armor that we utilize, that SWAT utilizes, that the police department utilize to protect us, right? It's just another piece of armor. But to the kids, it's something that's fun. And that's what it's all about. There's nothing, that's wrong with trying, like the chief said, trying to be transparent, not just to the kids, but to the parents that bring the kids. They love to see that stuff, and then we get to interact with them and interact in a positive manner. Because a lot of times, maybe there's times that, whether the parents are having a domestic dispute and we get there and these kids see the bad portion of what our job is. Well, this is the positive, the more lighter side of things. So that's the way we see it.
Any other questions I can answer for you?
Yeah, actually I have one. With all the equipment that the officers currently have to, use for protection for yourselves and the community and everything that they're assigned, especially for the task force, they got about everything on there that they can get. You know what I mean? As far as protection, weaponry, everything you need is on that vest and on their persons, correct?
Okay.
Okay, and then we also have all this other equipment that you guys utilize for the community as well in emergency situations. For example, when you guys had the over on Sun Street with the shooting. So how much more do we need if we already have this?
Well,
I mean,
obviously
how
we
much
don't
how
have
much
enough.
further do we got to go? You know what I'm saying?
It's obvious that we don't have enough, because if you recall back, if you go back to the incident that you're referring to, there was a deputy that was injured
Yes, sir.
and almost got killed.
Yep.
Our officers were pinned down. They couldn't move. They were taking rounds from a suspect who was high grounds, shooting at our officers. We were only able to get him out of there thanks to this piece of equipment. And actually, to your point about we have everything that we need, obviously we don't, because if you go back to February 22nd, 2022, February 25th, 2022, Officer J.D. Alvarado was killed in the line of duty. Obviously, he didn't have all the equipment that he needed.
That was
So-
just an unfortunate traffic stop,
Nothing is an
unfortunately.
unfortunate traffic stop, sir. Somebody was set out to kill him. There are people out there that want to kill cops. So unfortunately, yes, if I can provide my officers with equipment to stay safe, yes, I will do so, gladly do so. So that I don't have to look at the JD's family in the face, somebody else's family, and say, I'm sorry, the officer got killed because we didn't have the equipment, because we had too much. It's never too much. in
What
my
piece of
opinion.
equipment would
We have
help
to
in
be
that
safe,
situation?
so.
What equipment would have
Did
helped
you
in
have a
that
quick,
situation?
did you have a question,
Yeah,
sir?
I've always wondered, instead of, I mean, I know you don't go out there and kill a person because you want to, but I mean, there's means, like, let's say, especially Sun Street, I mean, instead of, all these hours, all this going on, wouldn't tear gas would have done it quicker, I mean, to get him out or flush him out or?
It did. We use a lot of tear gas.
Yeah.
We talked to him for hours. For hours, we're not looking to kill anybody. That's not what we're trying to do.
But
And
you
when
said
an
you got
officer
him out.
shoot, they try to stop the threat. That's what they're trying to do. So with this particular incident, we spent hours talking to him. There was no communication. We sent in our drones. You saw the drones that I'm asking a replacement for, because we say, hey, we want to end this peacefully. Even if it's going to take 2 days, let's end it peacefully. That wasn't, obviously, it was our choice to end it peacefully. It wasn't his choice. So we tried it. We used tear gas. He was prepared.
So what does tear gas really do? I mean, you shoot it, it falls in there and,
Disperse gas to the point that
You
it
need to have
forces
gas.
you out because you can't breathe. Well, he was well prepared for it, so
Okay.
it's an ongoing investigation, so
Yeah.
I can't give you too many details, but he was definitely prepared for it, so we tried. We tried every which way we could.
thank you.
Moving away from that, back to the drones, how far down do the drones fly?
What do you mean by how far down?
How far down to the ground do the drones fly? Are they only getting aerial pictures, or are they coming down and looking through people's windows?
No, we
Or
don't.
How do you
We
find
don't
out?
peek into people's windows or anything like that, no, that's not what they're used for. Depending on the situation they were in, drones can fly all the way to the ground.
Okay.
So there's definitely.
But
we use it
in what
several ways.
situation, I mean, what laws restrict you from going down and peeking through windows?
We have the Fourth Amendment, so
Well, I mean,
that's
yeah.
a specific, it's not even a law, it's a constitutional amendment.
I know
So
how
the
you
Fourth
guys feel
Amendment.
about those, so.
Please, sir, do not say that you know how I feel about the U.S. Constitution, because I died for the U.S. Constitution. So do not say that how you know how I feel about it. You and I have never discussed
say
it.
what I want.
So please don't insult me. At least give me the
Don't insult-
courtesy of not
don't
insulting
insult
you.
me.
Oh, I'm not insulting you. I'm telling you, do not say that you know how I feel, because you
I'm
know.
not saying now, but.
Any other question that I can answer for you guys or ladies? That's it? Well, thank you for participating. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.